So I've got a video reply for Allie from Allie Zen Zone, chilling with Allie and relaxing with Allie. And by the way, for anybody that watches this and everything, uh, just so you know, support her page, love her content. Like quite literally, one of the best uses of the time for me personally that I could have, as far as getting to go ahead and when I get a response, and even when I don't get a response. Like, for anybody that doesn't get to actually be able to hear people just keep it just right on Front Street, go pay attention, go check out her content. You will not be disappointed. Yeah, and also she's got a affiliation and sponsorship with Otter Spirit. She's got the links on any of her videos. Go ahead, check that out. But all right, Allie, I just want to say, first off, I'm gonna start off by saying, whether or not you realize it, you're doing the Lord's work. Like, you, oh, I think you managed to talk me off the ledge the other day. I think you could tell, like, I was right there. I was fucking teetering on that shit. And you actually helped me pull that shit back. And I can't even tell you how much that means to me. Because the funny thing is, like, you picked up on kind of that telepathy type thing too, I noticed. And the funny thing is, I'm absolutely petrified if you legitimately were, yeah, because you might have heard some things that you. All right, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and lay it out, because the funny thing is, the thoughts that ended up being thought was not for the reasons that you'd think that those thoughts would end up coming about. All right. So I'm one of those people that what ends up drawing me the most when it comes to people is them being genuine, like genuinely them. All right. And the funny thing is, most people that would end up going ahead, coming to your page and everything, when they see you going ahead and, not be afraid to jump right on it, like, you could give people a piece of your mind. Like, you're able to rival me when it comes down to that reckless mouth. Yeah, I've got a reputation for that shit. You, 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 you know. The funny thing is, though, I don't think you even realize the factor that your moral compass goes on full display. Like, you saw me getting dogpiled, and you were just like, nah, I'm watching from the sidelines. I'm gonna judge the fuck out of this shit. Ultimately, you read everyone for filth. Like, you're able to pull a me on me. I'm not used to that. Like, you. And the funny thing is, when it comes down to the intuition, all right, you help me understand what people mean when, end up getting told your whole ass vibe. Like, I get it now. And the funny part about it is, like, most people would end up thinking it would be one of those situations that, oh, I know exactly where your mind is going. My mind can't go there. That's on the table, but that's not necessarily where my brain was going. If anything, my brain was going that me and you going and actually getting to shoot the shit, Something tells me that with how fucking reckless both of us could be with just letting it rip, we could go ahead and create new war crimes. Like, we could legitimately make new fucking war crimes with the shit that ends up coming right the fuck out. You know? No filter, just right the fuck out. The hilarious part is, too, like, I got a different kind of vibe when it came down to you. Like, it wasn't. You ever picture scenarios and you don't understand why you're picturing them, but at the same time, there is so much to understand about what was pictured, and you have to wonder yourself, like, well, how vivid it was. Like, was that a memory or was that a demonstration of their nature and demeanor? You know? But the funny thing is, the whole situation that I picture, it was weird as fuck. No, like, it was legitimately like watching a fucking memory. All right, I'll explain to you because it was the weirdest fucking thing. I pictured a junkyard guard dog. All right, and legitimately like a little Ellie, basically going ahead and being like going to an adult with the junkyard guard dog and being like, could keep him, and the adult going and looking and be like, holy fuck, do you know who that? Do you know whose dog? What dog that is? No, no, looks like a good boy though. Dog just looking on, and everything. Being like, God, that's the guard dog for the junkyard. That guard dog could rip your throat out. No, he didn't want to rip my throat out. He just wants a snack and some belly rubbins. And literally just start rubbing the upper chest with the dog licking on you. And just this mortified look of like, what what the fuck am I perceiving here? Being like, all right, I don't know what you're doing. Keep doing it though. I'll be right back. Get something, and then we need to bring the dog back to his owner. Okay. Goes, gets muzzle. Immediately seeing the muzzle. Dog. I don't think he likes that. Okay, he doesn't like that. All right, got a couple of treats here. Keep going ahead with the belly rubbins, and let's get in the car. Okay, get in the car and bring the dog back to the junkyard. And ultimately, the adult is too afraid to actually get out of the car when it came to the junkyard, so it starts honking the horn. Well, the little girl and the dog ends up going ahead and hopping out of the car. And the guy at the junkyard ends up going ahead being like, where'd you run off to? Hope you didn't give them any trouble. So the dog just going ahead with the lick and continuing on. She was like, no trouble at all, mister. Can I come back and play with him? She's like, I don't see why that would be a problem, apparently. And just the guy at the junkyard just being like, holy shit. Like, that dog is trained to be a killing machine. Like, so I don't know if that was a memory or just kind of a demonstration of your demeanor, you know? But the funny fucking thing about it is, I'm the type that apparently attracts strays. And when I say strays, I'm not talking about dogs. I'm talking about people in fucked up situations. And I picked up the vibe that you picked up a stray or two along the way, not meaning to. So the funny thing is, when going ahead and speaking on my defense a little bit, and I'm not saying like that I needed you to defend me. I'm saying you were willing to go out of your way and see that I was outnumbered and basically being like, no, let's make this a little more fair. Come on. Like, what the fuck y'all got? You didn't have to do that. But I could also tell that your moral compass wouldn't have let you not do that. That just completely drew my attention towards you. And the funny thing is, that internal monologue, I'm gonna give you a little preview, and I want you to know, by the way, it is no disrespect. It quite literally is not even an objectification thing. It is quite literally one of those situations of like that factor of not even being able to ignore your moral compass, even if you wanted to, even when it frustrates the hell out of you. Something tells me about 90% of your frustrations is the factor that your moral compass is what ends up guiding you, and you're just like, fuck. Why is everyone else able to be an asshole? But at the same time, openly showing that ends up leaving people room to try to take advantage who don't have the best of intentions, you know? But that factor, that internal monologue that I have ended up going ahead and having a hilarious fucking monologue. I ended up thinking in my head, I'm like, holy shit. Like, all right. Like, I could picture us being able to chill. It would be relaxing as fuck, you know? Each person having their own smoke, going ahead, chilling and shooting the shit, going ahead, cracking up at movies, just completely busting the balls of the characters, you know? While at the same time, too, having the same personal space boundaries, that really is useful. But after having that thought, I ended up thinking, shit, she could turn me into Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? And the funny thing is, I could picture your response to that being, when saying would you be mine, are you asking if I'd be your neighbor or if I'd be yours? Yes. You think you slick. That's how I could picture that exchange going. But the funny thing is, also at the same time, it quite literally not being one of those circumstances like, oh no, I want to woo, I want to seduce, I want to pursue. Quite literally it being like one of those things like, nah, I could picture you being a permanent fixture and an asset in my life. And I'm not even talking about an asset as like, how the hell could I use the situation to my advantage? Like, no, it being like one of those things like, every single thing that frustrates me and pisses me off, I have a feeling that you have very similar triggers. So just the exchange would end up being hilarious. Think, have you ever seen Saturday Night Live? If you ever seen the those two people that end up going ahead and getting fired from, or thinking that they're about to get fired from every job that they're at. Oh, let me tell you, you's a bitch. Like, hey, Rita, like going ahead and going through the entire sample, just roasting the hell out of them. Being like, if I'm gonna go out in style. I'm gonna go out in a blaze of glory. I could see that being a constant fucking routine. It just I don't know how to explain it. I could picture you being one of those people that I genuinely don't see myself being able to get tired of, but because of the factor too that it seems like me and you share this similar fucking social battery. Very short, leave me alone, when willing to, want to, it's right there, you know. To where, obviously, if there was a boundary space and everything, like living down the block or something like that, you know, perfect. Cohabitation would absolutely fucking destroy each other. Living in the same vicinity, getting a kick from time to time, fucking magic. I could basically see it at that type of situation. But I could also tell too that even as much as you have your rough around the edges or tough to deal with, that type of demeanor, at the same time genuinely good person who you can't shut that moral compass off. And I can tell that shit has gotten you in a hell of a lot of trouble, and it's not even your trouble. It's just you've ended up walking yourself into situations that could have been a hell of a lot more trouble if you weren't able to be there to diffuse them. But I ended up thinking to yourself, how the fuck do I walk myself into this shit? Like, people see this situation going on, they walk the fuck away. It's not that hard. Walk the fuck away. I am trying to say thank you, by the way. And I want you to know, too, if you were to ever want to reach out to go ahead and have a conversation, I've got, at this point, if you couldn't tell, I'm not even hiding about the factor of the whole being able to read people thing. And after the coma, that shit went up to like 1 million in comparison to before the coma. So I'm just saying, if you're ever into any interesting or strange stories, go ahead and reach out and let me know. But one thing I'll go ahead and tell you, ironically enough, if you've ever seen the movie Doctor Strange, remember with the operating room and the astral projection and everything, that shit has a lot more truth to it than you'd know. So I'm just saying, I could tell you a story or two with evidence, by the way, like legitimately with evidence, like even being able to do a demonstration, you know. But I'm basically laying out the invitation and saying, like, I appreciate the fact that you've taken time that you didn't need to take to help address a situation that I was dealing with directly. Quite literally, you were not involved, but you were like, nah, like it's the right thing to do. I'm doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. No ulterior motives, no. What do I get out of this? You know? And funny thing is, I feel like you didn't even view it as a waste of your time. I mean, if anything, something tells me that you got a little more out of it than you expected to. And if there's anything that I could do to either return the favor or, you know, be able to contribute in a way, similarly, with good intentions, no ulterior motives, you know, you go ahead, you feel free to reach out. I'm openly extending an invitation. I am quite literally saying to, if you were to go ahead and accept that invitation, I'd gladly be willing to go ahead and demonstrate. And and I understand usually I get paid to do demonstrations and stuff, but I in your circumstance, it's quite literally like, no, I'd like to just go ahead and get that out of the way, be able to demonstrate, so that way it's not bullshit blowing smoke up your ass, because I know uh, in circumstances like this, there's a lot of people faking the funk, basically, not understanding, when there's other people on the sidelines that basically be like, yo, if I was able to do what you're able to do, like, do you know what the fuck that I'd do with that? Not understanding the natural responses, the reason that I'm able to do what you're able to, what you wish you'd be able to do, is for the very reason that I don't do what you would do with that. I'm pretty sure that's the very reason why, as far as capabilities go, you were not granted access to said capabilities. I'm pretty sure that the natural order of things said, yeah, no, next, in your aspect, and that's okay. I mean, everyone's got things that they're good at, and everyone has things that they suck at. And there are certain people that shouldn't be able to do certain things, So it's for that very reason that you would go ahead and trample the fuck out of anyone's boundaries. Being capable of doing that, you is the very reason that you would not be able to, or that you should never be able to. That's also why I'm so big on the whole boundary factor, because I don't want people to think that, if I'm going ahead and talking to you, that automatically I'm going to pick your brain or mind fuck you or something like that. And it's like, no, like that quite literally, that's a no-go. I view that as very predatory. I view that as very off limits. Like, ultimately, boundaries get set right from the get-go. Intentions get set right from the get-go. You know, if there's any direction that could end up going, clarify that right off the jump, which in your circumstance, I'm saying, I could see you literally being best friend status, or I could see that going in an entirely different direction. But the funny thing is, in the entirely different direction aspect, I could also see that going like in a completely what the fuck way. Like I could picture you justifiably just ripping me a new one, and then me being like, all right, so I'm hearing what you're saying, and I want you to know I am absorbing every word that you're going ahead and saying to me. I am understanding the very root of the issue, the reason for being upset and everything. But I also want to let you know that you going ahead and, standing firm on those very boundaries, while at the same time being absolutely unwilling to filter, censor, or hold yourself back when it comes down to saying what the fuck needs to get said. This debate or argument could go in many different directions. I'm just saying, you choose the route which that could go. But I just wanted to clarify if anything ends up being left to interpretation as far as directions it can't go. I'm just saying, you know, you want to go ahead and control the direction of that. Do what you're gonna do. You go ahead. You show me which direction you take. I'm gonna hand the wheel to you on this one. let's uh let's see where this goes. Which is also the very reason that it literally would end up being one of those situations of like, yeah, no, that could be a very dangerous situation. But no, legitimately, like when it comes down to your morals, your viewpoints, you know, and ultimately the fact that you actually take action in what you believe in. I just gotta say, I don't know if you've heard it lately, but your ego, like, straight the fuck up. But at the same time, too, you quite literally are one of those people that I could say, I can't picture you being a detriment in any which way. except for when having to go ahead and hold you back because you're about to rip somebody's face off, you know? But one crash out to another. I get it. You quite literally had to talk me off the edge the other day. So I get it. I truly do. But I want to extend my gratitude as well as that invitation and let you know, too, hopefully that, you know, being able to just get down with the shits, that I hope it's been able to go ahead and bring a little bit of levity to your life. And in the future, who knows? There could be more. Ultimately, though, free will, you know? Everyone ends up choosing their own level of participation, you know? Until that boundary gets set and crossed. And in which case, that open invitation becomes a lot more restricted. But, usually I'm not the one who ends up being the one to cross boundaries. It usually is my boundaries getting trampled on in an attempt to go ahead and test my temperature.